Hey everybody, it's Eric McBride. We're back at it with our instructor introduction. Today I'm sitting with Tami Watson. She's one of our new instructors, well, new-ish, and she's actually doing the most important job any instructor in firearms industry has, and that's working with beginners. First of all, we are blessed to have her on our staff. She's got a great amount of experience, and I think we've done 3 classes now, and they're filling up quickly. So when you look on our website and you see first and second step, that's Tami, also a youth firearms. But let's get to talking to Tami. Tami, tell us a little bit about your experiences, how you got into firearms, first of all, and what got you into instructing.
So I'm a retired Indiana State Trooper. I was on the department for 18 years. I left in 2016 to go into the power and energy field. I know that's a little bit of a change from being a police officer, but at about the same time, I decided to be an NRA certified firearms instructor. I thought I would dip my toe into the training field and see if there was even a need or a demand for ladies training. That's where I wanted to specialize, ladies training. I know that when I first started shooting, it wasn't until I was accepted to the State Police Academy.
Wow.
Yeah, I was not a shooter. I have 5 brothers. I was not raised around firearms. And I had been married to a state trooper for 9 years at the time, and I would move his gun belt carefully around the house. So, I'm not an experienced gun person from, childhood. Wasn't raised hunting or anything like that. So, when I went to the State Police Academy, I was afraid that I would not pass the firearms. I was in okay physical shape. I wasn't worried about the academics. I wasn't a shooter, and we had 3 guns we had to certify on.
Right.
I called a state police firearms instructor, and he told me to meet him at the range. I did. 2 hours later, I'm going to give Dave Travis a lot of credit for teaching me proper fundamentals, how to really do it and be scared. And I don't like to be intimidated by a lot of things. I was intimidated.
Yeah.
That transitioned so well into me being a firearms instructor of women because I knew how I felt when I first started shooting.
Yeah.
And when I went to the NRA's basic pistol certification, and they tell me to bring a gun and in the waistband holster several hundred rounds of ammunition, I was thinking, well, how many women don't even have a gun? They don't know what gun they even want. And a holster? And they have to certify? So I realized right away that we were missing a huge demographic of people, men and women, that had never really been shooters. They don't know what they want. They don't know how to do it. So I've created a curriculum, the first and second step class, and then I have several other classes, but the ones we hold here are the first and second step class. They are a great introduction and that literally first step into your journey of how do I do firearms. So I've really been appreciative of you opening your facility here and welcoming this curriculum. I think it does really well. For ladies and gentlemen. It's hard to get guys to come, but the guys that come, if you talk to the men that were in class today, I think they were very, very appreciative of the instruction that they got. I try to remove the intimidation. I try to speak very plain language. I knew how I felt when I first started, and I try to project that into the classroom.
Yeah, and you do a great job. And one of the things that we've always done ladies only courses, all right? Even to raise money for the SWAT team, we used to do ladies only. It doesn't have the same effect, no matter the skill level of the instructor, with a man in front of them, than what I've seen with you do a ladies only. And you hit the nail on the head with the plain English, but tell me a little bit about some of the things that you can get into and say that I couldn't get into and say during a women's class. And I think our female viewers are going to enjoy this, but I think it's important.
Well, one of my first slides is there's no embarrassments, no bad questions, and there's no judgments. This is a judgment-free zone.
Right.
And I think that's extremely important because in the world we live in today, when you look at the world of firearms, this is a man's world on the outside.
Sure.
However, women are the largest growing demographic and have been for several years of new gun owners.
Right.
Guys buy more guns. Girls are starting to buy their first gun. And then they need a bag, and they need it in the waistband holster. Do I need an ankle? Do I need a bra holster? Men buy a gun and a waistband holster. That's pretty much the way they do it. And I talk about this in class, and when we have men in class, I'd love for that to happen because I usually tell them, thank you for being the token testosterone today. But men carry in their waistband because they live their life in a waistband. And some of the things I say in class, I say, ladies, sometimes we have a sundress on with no bra and underwear. Where are we going to put a gun? And we discuss that. Being a woman carrying a firearm is very different than being a male carrying a firearm. Sometimes we have our babies. We have gear. They're in a car seat. You've got a diaper bag. Where does your gun go? If your baby is held on you a lot, in the waistband may not be a good thing for you. So we discuss different options. I have heard a lot of people say, well, if it's not on your body, it's no good to you. You know, I'm going to have to disagree with that. As a woman, I carry in my bag often. Sometimes I've got more than one gun. If I've got my backpack and my bag, there's a gun in each one. And I've practiced getting them out of that.
That's the key.
If you train, you will be able to develop that muscle memory you need to exercise those abilities in a stressful situation.
Yeah. So what's really cool about our new relationship, and here in the near future, we've already talked about it, is, and I'm glad you talked about the having a baby in your arm and the bag and the this and that. We can translate that into the shoot house into a reality-based training. So tell me a little bit, if just based on that, any kind of ideas you might have for a future class here.
So I've actually set up these type of scenarios in different ladies events. There's different gun clubs around the state that I've traveled to, and one gun club in particular, it's cold, it's wintertime, what can we do in the winter? Nobody wants to go outside and shoot on an outdoor range, so ammo was expensive. So we brought a bunch of laser guns and we set up tables in this large room, almost like a restaurant would be. And we identified the entrance and exits. Here's the front door of the restaurant. Here's the car side entrance. Here's the restrooms. We set up tables and we had all the ladies, and some of their husbands came. They heard what we were doing. They're like, well, I want to do this. So the husbands are there, and we set up the tables like you are eating in a restaurant with a bunch of friends. Now, what shook it up a little is I brought baby dolls. And I randomly passed out dolls to the people. And they're like, and I tell them, you have your grandchild tonight. You have your 2-year-old tonight. That shakes it up. Now, everyone in here was carrying because it's a gun club. We went through all their guns, we marked everybody safe, and then we passed out some laser guns. And then we put targets around the walls. And we labeled those targets, and then we ran different scenarios. Where is your purse? If you carry in your purse and you're out eating with your baby and some friends, where's your purse? Where's your gun? And I would call out the scenario, I would call out the threat. You have to decide, what are you going to do? You may decide, my baby is very important right now. I'm not in this fight. I'm not even going for my gun. I need to exit safely. And that is a real learning experience for a lot of us, because most of the time when we go to these type of training events, it's shoot, shoot, shoot. You're always shooting.
Right.
Law enforcement, we were always shooting. You're always in the fight until you can't be. We rarely train when we can't be in the fight.
Right.
We're in a fight, but we can't be in the fight. And I look forward to doing that here with UTM. You might get shot.
With actors, yeah.
And I think it's a great training tool. It's really, in my opinion, the only way to really do force on force and get that type of adrenaline going, decision-making abilities, because you're getting hit. You're feeling a little bit of pain.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah, absolutely. And so as we develop our concealed carry curriculum, our new one, I think, it'll be imperative for us to do a ladies only concealed carry that adds those elements of bag carry. Now maybe it's the grandbaby or my baby.
Your gun's in a diaper bag.
Your gun's in a diaper bag. And when you said that people go out and they typically punch holes in paper, they do. That shoot, 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 because that's what they're doing. When we start hitting scenarios, now all of a sudden we're responsible gun owners that have laws that affect what we're doing. And a lot of times the best defense is don't get involved at all.
Well, I cover run, hide, fight.
Yeah.
Now, there's 3 elements to that. And I always tell people, if you can run away from a bad situation, do it and take as many people with you as possible.
Right.
The best way to stay safe is to avoid the situation. But there's that third element. Fight is there for a reason.
Right.
If you can't run and hide, or in Indiana, we have a stand your ground law.
Right.
Indiana says you don't have to run. You want to fight? Fight. What does that look like for most people?
Right.
And that's not just punching holes in paper in a nice, perfect stance with a stationary target. Everything's
Nothing
just
in your
perfect.
hands.
Yeah, and we like to shake it up a little bit. And, you know, as a prior law enforcement officer, you know, you have to realize you cannot control the situation. You have to be able to react and respond to what is thrown at you.
And that's why avoidance is always the best answer, you know. And with a heightened situational awareness, because you have been training, then you're going to see those anomalies sooner and be like, oh, that doesn't look right. I'll go to the next gas station.
Well, today's training, we did a laser gun event, and there was a couple gentlemen in the class, but you could tell who were totally novice shooters and who had a little bit of experience. And I look at that, and that transitions well into our daily lives. You want to buy a gun and never train with it? It's going to be obvious when it hits the fan. You train with it, you become fluent with that, you develop positive muscle memory, you will be able to react well in a bad situation. And I liken that to self-defense. So I teach a ladies' basic self-defense class. Doesn't have anything, we've held one here.
Yep.
Doesn't have anything to do with guns. There's places we go, we can't have a gun. So how do we keep ourselves safe? And when I first joined the state police, I mean, I have 5 brothers. We probably invented cage fighting at my house. And I thought, you know, I went into the academy pretty confident that I'm not the weaker sex, I got this. And I realized after just a couple minutes on the mats, I am the weaker sex. And it took me at least 2 years of being on the state police to be able to perform all of those self-defense moves they taught us fluently without thinking about it in a stressful situation. 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's practicing and really on different body types and different people. And so I think, oh my gosh, how long does it take you to get fluent with your firearm in a bad situation, not thinking about it? What do?
Right.
You have to train.
You have to.
And training with UTM in this type of scenario, it doesn't get more lifelike.
Right, it doesn't. And I always liken it to the racing industry, right? You buy a race car, you put it in the garage. That's like buying the gun and putting it in the safe. And then one day you decide to go get in Daytona 500. You're probably not going to do real good. You probably need to go out and get some laps in beforehand. So that's my weak analogy, but I think it's very impactful. More people can understand that, then you know they should be training. They just don't do it.
Well, right now money's expensive, or ammo's expensive.
Yes, it is.
Then you got to pay your range fee, and you've got to buy, you know, your targets and whatever that looks like for you. And that's why when you come here and you train here, it makes that range time more effective. When you do go to live ammunition,
Right.
It makes that more effective, that training time.
Yeah, and so what she's talking about is the first and second step do not involve anything but time, really.
Yes.
That's all they have invested in this. And they're going to get some trigger time, and they're going to get some actual real life drills they can do at home with an empty gun that don't cost as much.
So the second step class, I call it the best class I teach because it's a lot of fun. We have laser guns, and we move and shoot in that class. So we shoot standing, we shoot kneeling. If we have room, we shoot prone, and then we move and shoot in this class. These are things that I can't do on a commercial live fire range. But they're things that, with these laser guns, they're as lifelike as I can get without recoil and live ammo. And we don't put recoil in them for a reason. I want the new shooters to realize if you anticipate that trigger and the gun moves, it shouldn't. This gun has no recoil. It should not move. So it allows you to develop that steady trigger press without moving your firearm before you move into a gun with recoil. And I don't know if you were watching today, we had some great targets. Brand new shooters who had never shot, they were knocking it out of the park. They were in the 9 ring, and we doubled our distance. We shot standing, kneeling, we moved and shot. They were walking and shooting. Excellent shooters, but they're developing proper fundamentals. Nothing today was timed. Take your time, don't sacrifice your grip, do it right, relax, there's no judgments, no embarrassments. As a matter of fact, I had one shooter, I could tell that there was a potential trigger press issue. These guns have a heavier trigger pull on purpose. And I could tell that her movement of the gun was probably because of the trigger press. I have a gun with no poundage on the trigger press. And she took that gun, she did exponentially better. That's a good way to troubleshoot beginning shooters. Okay, what's the problem? Why are you not doing this appropriately? We had a dominant eye issue. She was shooting off to one side, couldn't even hit the target. We realized that she wasn't using her dominant eye, and once she started using her dominant eye, knocking it out of the park. So this is a really good, it's only $40 for that class.
Yeah.
I can't buy a box of ammo for $40. So this is the type of class that's affordable. All it takes is your time. You're correct. It just takes a little time investment on a Saturday afternoon, and you could troubleshoot your own shooting.
Yeah, and so it was interesting when we started the basic pistol courses here using UTM. We realized kind of what you were just talking about, that the lack of loud explosion and reduced recoil was preparing them in the fundamentals better. Now, with the addition of your courses prior to the basic pistols, oh my gosh, these people come to basic pistol, and like you said, they're hitting the 9 ring right out of the gate. And
well, I was going to ask you about that. How do the students that come to do when they get to your basic pistol class?
You nailed it. I mean, they already have a good trigger press. They already have sight alignment. They know what a sight picture is, and they're dialing in so much quicker than the other students, and the other students notice it. And then they tell them, well, you should have gone to the first or second step. And it's great. I mean, it sells itself.
I was going to ask you, has your safety issues, now I know it's UTM, but we still treat those guns like they're real. We start with the laser guns. We treat these like they're real guns. Keep them pointed in a safe direction. We practice all the safety issues. I was wondering, have you noticed your safety issues dropping because they've already been to the laser gun class and they know some of those fundamentals already?
Not so much safety violations.
That's what I say.
But safety awareness.
Yes.
Yes. Out of the gate, they're holding the pistol differently. They're making sure it's pointing in a safe direction. Fingers are along the slides, not in near the trigger guard. It's a lot better.
Good.
Saves our instructors a little time, that's for sure.
Well, it allows you more time in that class to focus on other things. Instead of starting at the beginning and working through all these fundamentals. I've noticed that in my live fire class, so I encourage them to go to your basic pistol, then come do live fire. I shoot 10 different firearms. But I've noticed, and the range even commented, the range I use, they commented on how safe my students were in that brand new shooters. Hundreds of people have taken their first shots with me. And I have range safety officers there, but the safety issues, the violations are just almost non-existent because we've gone through those fundamentals. We've really harped on that. They've gotten some practice. They've established that muscle memory, and they're doing well. They're doing well.
Great. That's so good. Well, thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I look forward to the next time.
Absolutely. And we're going to do more of these. We'll get more into the weeds with training issues or even things that we see and let our viewers know. Everybody, that's Tami Watson. If you want to get into her class, take a look at our website. We're about to put some more classes of hers up, and you can come and take her first, second step and youth courses. You'll find some youth courses popping up this summer. If you have any questions email us at admin@mtactraining.com. That's it for now.